So, as part of the Stavely project, we updated and revised the existing Airborne Geophysical Surveys Index. The index is available online through Geovic and as an appendix to the historical data report. The surveys in the two products are the same, but the structure of the attributes is very slightly different. We created a new spatial index for ground geophysical surveys, which includes the survey location and summary metadata. And for the downhole surveys and petrophysical data, they were really outside the scope of this part of the project. In some instances, the petrophysics and downhole surveys might have been captured with the borehole compilation. So, unlike some of the other data compiled as part of the historical mineral exploration report, the geophysical survey indexes include surveys acquired as part of petroleum exploration, government and university research programs, as well as the mineral exploration programs. And another important point to note is that the index only contains data that's in the public domain. Right, the indexes are a summary of the metadata for each of the surveys, and hopefully we've gathered enough information so that you can find the original data and the reports. We figured out pretty early on that we couldn't possibly include the actual survey data for so many different geophysical techniques. So the best way to handle it was to provide you with the references to the reports and to list the custodians so that you can get the data and the reports directly from the source. Now, the first thing to note about the Stavely project area is that it does have complete coverage of good quality magnetic and radiometric airborne survey data, acquired with 200 to 400 metre line spacing and at 80 to 100 metres flying height. Some of the volcanic belts have airborne electromagnetic data or low-level magnetic data available, but there are large areas that are not covered by detailed airborne geophysics. The airborne surveys are stored in the geospatial index as polygons with attributes, so you can see the survey outline and you can select and display the surveys by technique or by survey specifications. Onto the ground surveys. The area has been tested by a variety of ground geophysical techniques over the years, but as you can see from the map, the distribution of different surveys is uneven and quite sparse. For example, there are extensive ground magnetic surveys along the Dryden and Stavely belts, but not in other areas. Electromagnetics has been used in the north of the area, but on a relatively wide line and station spacing. Electrical surveys have been used in the south, and there's a noticeable difference in the equipment used in the modern surveying compared to the older surveys. And apart from the seismic surveys in the Otway Basin, the technique's only been used for research purposes, like the recent passive seismic as part of the GSB stratigraphic drilling program for overburden estimates. Now, the ground surveys have been included, hang on one sec, there we go. The ground surveys have been included in the spatial index as lines and points, depending on the type of location data that was available for each survey. And that means that you need to load both the line and the point data sets to get the complete ground survey index. So I'll go to the ground gravity data set just as an example of how you can identify and use geophysical survey information with the index. So within the project area, there's a couple of old detailed gravity surveys which were acquired for mineral exploration purposes, and other than that, gravity's been used as an exploration tool to the east of the Stavely Arc and in the south of the area. Now, most of the data has been included in the Australian National Gravity Database, which is readily available from GADS, but what you will find is that some of the gravity survey data doesn't fit well with the surrounding surveys. So you can use the new ground survey index to find the original reports and the data files if you need to do any investigation. There are also a couple of surveys in the index which haven't yet been incorporated into the national database, either because they're new or because they weren't tied to the fundamental gravity network. So again, you can use the ground survey index to find the data and get it from the custodian. So, in summary, what we've found is that the ground and detailed airborne geophysics has only been used in a few areas, with scout lines and wide-space grids usually being from a single geophysical technique. The detailed ground gravity has been collected along the edge of the stall zone, and apart from the survey across the Boonawar Belt in the south and the petroleum surveys, and the GSV's 2016 Stavely gravity traverses, there is little detailed gravity within the project area. Most of the detailed ground electrical and electromagnetic data was acquired in the mid-90s and earlier, and there are only a few examples of modern electrical and electromagnetic data in the open file records. Oh, there we go, sorry, too far. All right, so most of the detailed geophysical surveys for mineral exploration have been confined to areas of basement exposure, for example, near the Black Range and Mount Stavely, which is something that we've heard before. So this book, which was published by GSV in 1999, is actually a collection of papers investigating some of the historical base metal occurrences in Victoria, including Thursday's Gossan and Wycliffe. It's available for free as a download from the Earth Resources online store. And as the final slide, there's large areas of prospective rock units with varied cover units and cover depth, which haven't been investigated using modern detailed geophysical techniques. And those areas are available for new mineral exploration. The experiences of previous workers could be useful for your survey planning, and the indexes make it easy to search by area or by technique so that you can find the geophysical survey reports and the data. And finally, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Melissa Say for all of her hard work helping me with the data loading and the GIS compilation, because it was a huge job. Thank you.